Welcome back to Die Hard United. I know I haven't been here for a while, but you're all welcome to Die Hard United, the one stop for everything Manchester United. A lot of activities has been happening at the club since I made my last video back at the ending of the summer transfer window. We have had a lot of activities. Of course, we started season pretty bad, and a lot of things have really happened, from injuries to Ten Hag being under a lot of scrutiny and many other things. But today, I just want to talk about the takeover process at the club and what's happening really, because I am back fully and we can't talk about the past. We need to talk about the present, and the present right now is Richard Arnold is leaving or has left Manchester United, and we all know that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is about to take over the club very soon, or about to take over the sporting side of the club very soon. And it was announced yesterday that Richard Arnold is going to step down as the CEO of Manchester United. And it's a good and bad news, because of course we know that even if Sir Jim Ratcliffe is here, he's not buying the full club. It is a partial takeover of the club. 25% is going to take over the sporting side, and of course the Glazers are still going to have a say on what happens in the club. So it's not really what we want. What we wanted was full sale only, and it was only what the Qataris were offering, and now the Qataris are gone and we have to settle for Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And of course it's very sad, it is depressing, but some fans seems to think there is a positive to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He's a Manchester United, he's a Englishman, he's a fan of the club, blah and things like that. But I don't really want to go through into all of those. This is the reality. The Glazers are still here, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to take over the sporting side of the club. And with him coming in, there's going to be like a revamp of the whole structure of the club. Of course, Richard Arnold is leaving, and it was rumored Richard Arnold wasn't really in good terms with Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He was leaning towards the Qataris taking over the club, and on their discussions and blah they weren't really seeing eye to eye. It wasn't really a big deal, but they didn't feel he was the right man for them, and of course he has to go. And that will still go for John Mota, because when you get a new CEO, definitely we're going to get a new director of football. So as Richard Arnold is leaving, we would expect John Mota to leave in the coming months. Of course, they can't really sack everybody immediately, but with Richard Arnold gone, John Mota has to leave also. Maybe after the January transfer window and towards the ending of this season, he will leave also. But as of now, Richard Arnold is gone, and of course the takeover process isn't over yet. It hasn't been announced, and after it's announced, it's still going to be like a due diligence, a check from the Premier League and things like that. So before we get a new CEO, it's going to take time. I think the acting CEO right now is Patrick Stewart, still at the club, still at the club, just mainly like a promotion for him. It wasn't like a new appointment, a caretaker from somewhere. It is someone that has been at the club also. They're just coming to step in for the meantime, until Sir Jim Ratcliffe takes over the club fully and INEOS can appoint their new CEO, director of football, and the rest. And this also makes you think, is Ten Hag's future under threat? Because of course we know that most times when a club is being taken over or being run by new people, they like to bring in their own ideas. Of course, when you get a new CEO, get a new director of football, those CEO and director of football probably have an idea of how they want to run the club, and maybe the present manager might not be the best fit for that. So is Ten Hag future under threat? I don't think it is under threat for now. January transfer window is coming very soon, and we'll expect maybe we do some bit business in the January transfer window. But I think even if we do business in January transfer window, it wouldn't be basic. It wouldn't be really what Ten Hag wants, because this is new management. I don't think they're going to buy players that are specific to Ten Hag, because in the next few months Ten Hag could be sacked. So I think they're going to buy, if they're going to buy players, they're going to buy players for what they want, in case Ten Hag gets the boot. And it's fair to say the rest of this season, from January down to May, is going to be the interview section for Erik Ten Hag. If he does well, then maybe Sir Jim Ratcliffe might reason to keep him. And of course, if the results aren't that good, would expect Erik Ten Hag to be sacked between January to May, because of course, like I said, it is new management. Just like the way Todd Bowley came in and booted Thomas Tuchel out of nowhere, that is still the same thing that we would be expecting to happen to Erik Ten Hag if the result doesn't improve. And of course, by January, we would have most of our players back. I know many of us are like Ten Hag out, this, that, this, but I want to give you reasons why we should back the manager, because it has been a very, very long season of too many injuries and things like that. And don't forget last season's success. Last season was a good season for us. We overachieved last season, and it is fair to say Ten Hag did a very, very, very good job last season. And when you look at how the summer transfer window went down, not getting a world-class striker in Harry Kane or his equivalent, not getting a new centre back, keeping Maguire, keeping McTominay, not being able to raise sufficient funds to do business, not selling enough players so you can support your budget, selling Fred for how much, 80 million, and doing some mediocre businesses, and then buying Rasmus Højlund, 20-year-old, and heaping that bit of that expectation on him to be our main nine. Martial still at the club, and many other things that's happening. You understand that the way the club is being run is a total shambles. And even maybe buying Onana wasn't the right thing to do. Maybe keeping David for one more year and investing that 44 million we used to buy Onana on someone else. Not saying Onana is a bad player, but even buying Mason Mount, what was the essence of buying Mason Mount if, since he has been bought, he hasn't been really starting much game? So what was the reason behind the wasting of money in the summer transfer window, and not even able to sell players in that same summer transfer window? And when you talk about the ownership situation that's been going on for more than a year now, you get that the whole club has been in shambles. And then the injuries, starting the season with so many injuries, and basically changing your starting lineup every week. There's no stability in that. So you get why Erik Ten Hag is where he is now. And even in that same situation, he's still the fastest manager in the United history to get 50 wins. So even with all the bad performances and everything, if you look at it very well, it isn't that bad. It's just the fact that we did so well last season, and this season we're expecting us to do what we are not really capable of doing. And of course, Erik Ten Hag still has to get some blame, because the style of play has been confusing, really. But I still the same thing. When many of your players are out, how do you cope? When your players on the bench, the players available are not really up to the standard, because if everybody is fit, these players are not going to start. So that is still the problem Erik Ten Hag faces, and hopefully with new management, maybe that could be resolved. But of course, I still don't believe that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is the right man for the job. There are rumors of he's going to invest 200 million in this year or in the next 1 year into the club. What is 200 million going to do? What about the stadium with development and facilities, investment on the squad? What exactly is 200 million going to do for us? We are people are talking about making United a self-sufficient club, but you're not clearing the debt. The debt is still here. So how exactly are we going to be a self-sufficient club when we are owing millions of pounds, both in transfer debt and in debt the Glazers have acquired when buying the club, and blah blah blah, and there's so many debts everywhere. We have almost $1 billion in debt. How do we clear all those and be a self-sufficient club when it wasn't a full takeover of the club? So it is really interesting to see what happens in the next 1 year. And there were rumors of Sir Jim Ratcliffe wanting Ten Hag to resolve the issue with Jadon Sancho. It is a very tricky one, because Sancho is how old? Just 23, and we can still say maybe he's still very young, and maybe in next years he could be a very good player. And we bought him for how much? 72 million pounds, and now he has refused to apologize to Erik Ten Hag, even after being advised to apologize by his fellow teammates and senior figures at the club, but he has refused to do that, and now Ten Hag wants him to leave. And now the problem is, some clubs are interested, but they are not willing to pay his wages. Man United want around £50 million for him. Nobody's going to pay that, and he wants to leave. And it does, and maybe some Saudi clubs are interested, but I don't think he would want to go there. Juventus are interested and will probably want him a loan, but are not willing to pay a transfer fee, a loan fee, and are not willing to cover his wages. So how is this matter going to be resolved? Are they going to come together as grown-ups and resolve this issue once and for all? But it's still going to involve Sancho apologizing one way or the other. And if he's really unwilling to do that, then I guess he doesn't deserve to play for the club, and one of them has to leave anyway, and in the end it has to be Sancho. But where does he go? Because Man United, the only way this can be resolved is if United are willing to make a loss on this deal, sell him for 40-30 million pounds, or get him out on loan, still pay his wages, no transfer fee. He goes out on loan, then next summer sell him for 40-30 million pounds, and we'll all be done with the issue. But on the other hand, Sancho might feel that by the summer Ten Hag might be gone, and why leave? So he'll probably stick around and see if Ten Hag gets sacked between now and May. And if Ten Hag is the manager for next season, then we'll know that Sancho is the one that's going to leave. So it's a very confusing situation, and I guess if the club was properly run, this matter wouldn't be the way it is now, because Sancho feels he had a lot of promises broken to him by the club, and also we had other players, former Pogba and the rest, who felt the same way. They were made promises and they came, and those promises weren't delivered. And of course, it's still down to the poor running of this club, because you get Pep Guardiola having fallout with players, and the players simply leave. Cancelo left, and he went on loan to Juventus, to Bayern Munich, and this summer was sold. Was he a loan, or was he sold to Barcelona? And Cancelo is arguably one of the best fullbacks in the world, but still yet he had the fallout with Guardiola for starting less games, and Guardiola put him out. So why can that not happen at the club? It can't happen, because we buy stupid players, pay them stupid wages, and then they have more power than the club itself. So it's down to poor management, and I hope, even if Sir Jim Ratcliffe can't take us to winning titles every year, he's able to restructure this club in that players know their place, manager has the ultimate power over these players, and then we have a good director of football and a CEO that knows how to efficiently run a club. And also, when it comes to transfer business, when a manager wants these certain players, and you know you can't get these players, you tell the manager that you can't get these players. You guys come together and make an agreement. Look for someone better. If the player is too expensive, look for someone else. If this manager wants this player, go out and get this player if it fits the club philosophy. Don't just go out there and sign players that doesn't really want to come to the club, that just here for the wages. So let's see what happens with the ownership issues at the club, and that's all I want to talk about for now. But I'll be back here on Die Hard United, your one stop for everything Manchester United. Don't forget to leave a like on this video, subscribe to this channel, and yeah, it's the international break, which I really hate, but we'll be waiting next week for the return of the Premier League. And of course, we are most likely out of the Champions League, but we have to keep the hope on, right? A win against Galatasaray and a imaginary win against Bayern Munich would probably get us into the round of 16, but let's see what happens with that. But yeah, I will see you all on the next one.